This is the size I like, the little ones.
I tried to get the medium, but they were all out.
No,
So
this
I was
is
actually going to apologize about your small drink.
no. This is the perfect size. 12 starts.
Is that what she tells you?
Yeah. Even though it's small, it's perfect size.
Perfect, Josh.
I just don't understand.
You look small.
It's
I feel big today.
Is yours leaning back at all?
I mean, it like flexes because the screw's loose a little.
Oh, is there one on this side? No, there's got to be a way it leans.
I don't think it's one up.
Whoa! It does. There it goes.
Oh, there it goes. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Let's take a nap. We're both out of frame for sure.
Wow, that's way back. That's dangerous. I bet you can click it in though, so it's not so. Oh, there it is. Like you can click it in where you want.
I got a little lean going. A lean back.
Man, these chairs are
Shit on my
dangerous.
pockets. I hate sitting on my shit.
Oh, like a wallet. Sometimes I'll forget to take out my wallet when we're driving somewhere.
A long drive.
Oh my god.
Your ass cheek goes numb.
You just start feeling like going up your leg and down is terrible.
You ever have your nuts fall asleep?
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's happened only like a couple times, but it's such a weird feeling.
Like you ever had your wiener fall asleep?
I don't know.
Like
Probably.
a couple weeks ago, I was like sitting on the couch and I got up and I had this like tingling numb in my wiener. And I told Leanne,
That's an STD.
I was like, Leanne, my wiener is like numb. I think it's asleep. But it was like when your hand falls asleep. I don't know, maybe it's age it does that.
Age.
I don't remember my wiener falling asleep when I was younger. It's just
Because
it's
it's always in your hand. That's probably why.
It's like I'm never getting used. I'm taking a nap.
It's like I'm retired.
So an incident happened yesterday.
An incident.
Well, not really an incident, but it started making me think. So my daughter does dance, and she had a play on Friday. I guess it's called play rehearsal, whatever it is.
Yeah.
On Friday, Saturday. So we go to it on Friday, and it was in the evening. I haven't eaten, so I just wanted some popcorn. And usually I don't get it, but I was like, okay. So I go up, and I'm like, what the hell is this, the line to get in and a line for popcorn? It's like a little place. What was the line for concessions? So I'm standing there, and there's probably like 10, 12 people. And maybe 3 or 4 get their stuff, they check out, and this woman walks up and just stands right in front of me.
She obviously saw you.
Obviously saw the line.
And was just like, I'm gonna stand in front of this big guy.
And she stands in front of me, and she just starts like talking to people around like nothing's happened. I'm like, does she not see me here?
No, like that's impossible. Like,
you know?
Yeah.
And like she just played it off like it was nothing.
Did you let her skate?
So I did.
Well, how old is she?
She was probably 50.
Not old enough.
Like, no.
If you're like 80, I'm gonna let you pass.
Right. So then I'm thinking the whole time there, and this is where it brings me to.
You're stewing.
If people, their attitudes, the way they do things, like this woman,
This bitch.
not only, yes, and that's the part I'm getting to, is like, I don't know. It's the way a person is and the way they look. And it sounds judgmental, but at this time I should be able to judge you since you were a jackass.
Sure.
But there was something that I didn't like.
Yeah.
Like just the way
her face.
Yeah, her face. And she had this stupid little hat on. And it was like she just seemed like a personality that she probably knew what she did.
Yeah.
And
she probably just gauged that no one was gonna say shit.
But then that's the part where I gotta play fake too, because I don't want to start something at
your
a
daughter's
little kid's rehearsal.
Yeah.
And I was just like, the whole time that she stood in front of me, and the hatred I had for this woman, I didn't even know who she was.
You're like figuring out how to trip her without it being obvious.
Right. And it's so bad, but I mean, that's how, I think it was a way of expressing myself in my mind to not say something out. But I bet the next 10 minutes I stood in line with her, like I thought every negative thing. I'm like, look at her stupid face, look at her stupid nose, and That hat, who buys that hat? Where do you buy that hat?
If you were a man, I'd punch you in the face.
Yeah, that's how I felt. Like, it's weird how, but if I didn't express those thoughts in my mind,
maybe you might just do
then
it.
it might, yeah, maybe I'll just do
You
it.
might snap.
But I think personality is the part where I'm getting at. It's personalities that can control a situation. I don't know.
You think there could have been a cool way that she played it off, where you would have been fine with it?
Like
She
maybe
was a different person.
maybe if she turned around and she was just like joking and nice and talked to me, and like I would probably still like, I can't believe this lady, but she's super nice. Like, okay.
Yeah,
like,
she was like, what if I just sneak right in here, darling?
Yeah.
Give you some country charm.
I'll give you more of that popcorn you want up there.
Yeah.
But like, if she would have turned around and was just like, just a happy personality, I would still in my mind be like, I can't believe this adult just put it in front of me. She's super nice. Like, she's a super nice lady. But I could tell this lady just was not nice. It just kept pissing me off the more I stood there and the more I stood there by her.
That sucks, man.
Um,
Well, I'm glad you got that off your chest.
yeah. But it's been lingering. Like,
I can tell, yeah.
Like, so my wife.
Did you look up on Facebook?
No, I didn't know her name. I don't know who she is.
Bitch with
But-
a stupid hat.
So from that time of standing in line, I had about a half hour till the rehearsal started. I watched the rehearsal for 2 hours. I waited for my wife. She worked backstage and got my daughter. And as soon as we got out, we started walking out in the parking lot, and I was like, "This fucking bitch in the line." It's not. I didn't even say anything about the rehearsal. I held it in for over 3 hours, and I was like, "That's the first thing that
Your
came out."
daughter's
in
like,
the
did I
line.
do good, Daddy? And you're like, this.
This is the only thing Daddy was worried about.
I didn't even see you up there.
But that's where I feel like, and I started to think, acting. Like, we look at people that do movies and shows, and they act and make millions of dollars. I feel like sometimes we act just as good as them in society where no videos and cameras are on us.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
Yeah, I mean, you have to. Yeah, sometimes you got to wear a mask. Is that what you mean? Like you gotta play nice and pretend and put a smile on. Is that what you mean?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my whole life.
just acting. Some people are just really bad at it.
Yeah.
Work, like when you have work, people have to take work serious. Like even the smallest thing. If you go into Walmart and there's a person that's standing by the door, Walmart's really known for the person that greets you.
Oh, they're greeters.
Yes, they're greeters.
Yes, of course.
And those people could be the happiest people in the world, but they're still going to have bad days, and they still have to come in there and greet 1,000 people in a day and be like happy as can be. That's great acting,
Yeah,
because everybody has bad days, even that
that's true.
60-year-old person that's retired. Like,
It's true. When I retired from working at Walmart.
yeah, and check receipts.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no, you're right. I think my my family valued not doing that. Like, there wasn't a pressure in our house growing up to try to fit in.
right,
We kind of all were readily accepting of the fact that we were like outcasts of our own. So I don't know, like, you know, being overly vulgar and not caring about it or whatever. That was kind of like our household. My dad, though, was the king of that. I mean, he just didn't put on a face or try for anything. He was always
how he was how he
he
was.
was always how he was, and he never would censor how he felt. And sometimes that was terribly embarrassing. But other times it was like, wow, yeah. I mean, like, he would, you know, if he didn't like you, you knew, because he would tell you.
Right.
There was no guessing, you know? So, yeah, but it's tough to do that.
How do you feel like if
Yeah,
you, like, different things, say you take your kids out somewhere and you're standing outside, like, waiting to get in line, and somebody lights up a cigarette and they're blowing it on you,
Yeah.
or it's a young couple behind you, like two young guys waiting to get in line, and they're fuck this, fuck that, like,
Yeah.
does that bother you?
So it depends on what it is. Like, you know, there's definitely things that bother me, especially if I'm with my kids. But, you know, I think the cigarette smoke, I'm always like, why are you standing right near the fucking door smoking, you know?
Mm-hmm.
People swearing and being vulgar, not so much, because I'm vulgar even at home in front of my kids. I mean, if somebody's being like explicit in a different way, not just swearing, but like, I don't know,
Sexually explicit.
maybe they're talking about sexual stuff or something like that. Yeah, I don't want it. You know, my kids don't need to hear that. But like, if they won't be shocked if they hear the F word,
right?
You know, whereas I remember growing up, like some kids' parents didn't like me because I said damn, you know, or like shut up or stupid. And like those were swear words in their household. And I'm like, wait till you come to my house, you know? Like, you're gonna hear cocksucker in about 15 seconds.
Everybody's just different.
Yeah, everyone's different. So that stuff doesn't shock me, but some stuff does, yeah. Cigarette smoke, definitely.
Has anything ever happened around your kids where you had to say something to somebody?
You know, all the time I'm always on the edge of that, like where you were, right? Like I'm thinking it in my head. Sometimes I'll mumble something. Sometimes I'll straight up tell people, say something. But, you know, my wife really puts a damper on it. She doesn't want me to start a ruckus.
Right.
You know, she doesn't want to be embarrassed in public, so. And sometimes I can do that when I go off on people.
I mean, it's a switch. I think we all have a switch. And you hold it in and hold it in. Once it boils over, the things that you say.
You can't. Yeah, there's no filter.
I am a terrible person at when I may not get in a fight with somebody and I may keep it, but I am going to say the most worst and hateful things.
Yeah.
You know, like it. Yeah. I just feel like that's the way it expresses instead of causing a fight, but it's still a scene.
Yeah.
Like it's still
that's right. Yeah, my wife does not want to see. So
I mean, it's going to escalate to a scene no matter what you say, because even if there are a couple young guys behind you and they're F this and F that, and you're like, hey guys, I got a kid. I mean, it's going to either go two ways. Hey, sorry buddy, or fuck you.
Yeah.
And then all hell's going to break loose.
That would have been my dad. My dad would be like, well, fuck you, pal. So, yeah, that's exactly what you would have done. But no, I mean, I remember one time when my wife was pregnant with my son, our first kid. We were walking through a parking lot and heading into a store, and this guy was backing up without looking and like almost hit my wife, my pregnant wife, and I just fucking went off on him. Like I couldn't help it. I just was like, "You fucking piece of shit, you cocksucker! Why are you looking out the fucking window?" Like, and he was definitely taken aback that I was like swearing at him or whatever. Like, I think he was driving a Prius, so like all bad. You know, he was the stereotype anyway. I think, you know, like bad words. You know, but
he's probably got I got a Prius. It wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
it would dip my car.
Yeah, it probably would hurt the car more. But man, just sometimes I can't help it. You know, or like when someone like doesn't hold the door for like my son or my wife. If I'm behind them, I'm like, you know, I'll be like, oh, thanks for holding the door.
I always love that when somebody doesn't hold the door. I always say, oh, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, or if I'm holding the door and they don't say nothing, I'm like, oh, you're welcome. Yeah.
But that's another circumstance.
After like 5 people go through, I'm like, oh, I'm the fucking doorman now.
Yeah, that's the problem. You think sometimes when you are helping somebody else out, other people start to take advantage of it.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same with like if you're driving in a car, and I always feel this way, and I pass Walmart and school's letting out by there, and there's 10 people want to get out, and I like wave to that one person. Like I feel like I'm pissing the next person off by not letting them out, but it's like I can't sit here and let all of you out, or this person behind me is going to get pissed at me.
Everyone lets 1 or 2 go, but that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Same with traffic. I feel like once I let my person over or out, like that's it. Like I've done my
duty. You did. Yeah, you did your deed. Zipper merges, man. West Virginia doesn't get zipper merges.
What the hell's a zipper merge?
It's like when 2 lanes turn into 1 and they both merge together.
Oh.
You're supposed to zip together. You don't have to stop. You shouldn't be stopping. There shouldn't be, people fighting. It should be just every other person gets in line behind every other person.
Mm-hmm.
And
they just put one off my exit for work. So when I get, instead of one lane to turn on to go on 81, they now have 2 lanes to turn on to go to 81. And it turns into a zipper merge.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many times, like, I know the rules. Like, this person goes, you go. The next person, like,
exactly.
you take turns. And
Take
then
turns.
you got, next thing I know, is that,
and it should be smooth.
here
Yeah.
comes one up to my
One
side.
ass
I'm like,
come up the
nope.
shoulder.
And then I floor it, and then we're fighting to the end. Like, it's so nonsense for something that's so simple. But that comes into 4-way stops, too. How's people in New York with 4-way stops? Because they are absolutely terrible here.
I think it's actually better in New York. People get it.
They don't here.
You know what? Here's 2 things that really piss me off a 4-way stop. One is when people wave you on when it's not your turn. Like, I don't want to be waved on when it's not my turn. I want you to go. If it's your turn, you go.
It's the rotation.
Don't fuck up the rotation. Yeah. Why are you waving me on? You were here like 15 seconds before me.
So then,
and then you get into one of these. Sorry.
Yeah, so I got ready to
and I'm
say
like, you motherfucker. You waved me on. I then went, and then now you're trying to go. I hate you.
And then everybody looks like an idiot at the 4-way stop. I agree. Say that is the best part is when somebody waves you, you're like, nah. And then you just sit there and you're like, okay.
All right, fine.
And it's so weird how it works out. No matter how long you sit there, when you hit the gas to go, that's going to be the same exact time you hit their gas.
That's proof we live in a simulation.
And then you're back to the waving again.
Yeah.
It's just nonstop.
I never want to be waved on. Never. Don't wave me on. I'll go when it's my turn to go and when I can go. Otherwise, you do your thing.
Right.
It just follows the fucking rules.
It is set up so we don't have to wave each other.
There shouldn't be any waving. Waves aren't, there's not a stop sign that says wait to get waved.
I'll tell you another one that's, it gets a little scary too, but it's like trying to be nice. But, all right, say I'm going south and cars are coming north. A car is pulling out to go north. And I wave that person, but then they can't see.
Can't see the other side.
The car is going north.
You're actually responsible if they get in a car crash if you wave that person on.
Oh, really?
Never wave. Don't do the wave.
Huh.
Just ignore them. If they're looking at you like up, you just...
Just show them.
Oh.
Because you got to creep out enough to look around that car that's in front of you.
Yeah, then obviously your hood's out in their lane, so yeah.
Oh, man, I've caught myself a couple of times done like this and being like waving, putting my head over to see the other lane for them.
Weird. Yeah.
And then I've put some people in bad spots.
Then there's a motorcyclist, and then you know, it's your fault.
That guy waved me.
Yeah.
Man, I never thought about that.
Here's another one. If you flip someone off, apparently there's been some Supreme Court things recently, so this might not be true anymore. I think now it's freedom of speech, but it used to be considered like fighting words, which would be considered like a threat or harassment to flip someone off.
Uh-huh.
So my sister taught me just to give someone a thumbs up, because they're actually, if like a sarcastic thumbs up.
Right.
So and it generally pisses them off a lot more. Fuck you, everyone's like, well, fuck you too. If you're like, good job, pal, they're like, oh, God.
When you take the opposite approach, it can piss people off more.
Yeah. So we used to do that a lot.
I used to, I'm not used to, I still sometimes
do it, yeah.
I'll act crazy. Like if somebody does something stupid.
You're in the car like...
And I'll make noises knowing that they can't hear me. And when they drive by, I'm so pissed, but then I'm like... and I'll do that to them. And it's just like, more like, what the hell is wrong with them?
Yeah.
But road rage is different when you have a kid.
And when you have a gun.
Yes. Like things that...
that make road rage more serious.
Yeah.
Children and weapons.
Like, I'm not going to do what I normally do if I'm driving by myself.
Oh, yeah.
With the kids in the car.
Way different.
Like, I'll let things really go over.
If I'm by myself and someone cuts me off, I'm flooring it to get right up in their ass, and I'm like looking at them through the rear view mirror,
Yeah, like you want them to know what they did.
Yeah, but if the kids are with me, I just try to blow it off. I do my best. My dad would swear and stuff. He would never act crazy with us in the car, I'm sure he did on his own, but yeah, I try to just totally play cool. Like if someone does something stupid in the car with my kids.
My dad was the
Especially in
same
West
way.
Virginia.
Like he didn't care we were in the car. Like,
No, yeah. My dad used to hawk loogies all the time because he smoked 5 packs of cigarettes a day. So he always had just thick, yellow, goopy mucus. It was disgusting. He could at any moment he could hawk like a Beavis and Butthead worthy loogie, right? And so if someone cut him off or did something, and they pulled up next to him, several times I remember this actually happening. We'd pull up next to somebody who fucked with him at a stoplight or something, and he would just spit in their window or on their windshield. Right next to him, with me in the car. In the window sometimes, like spit on the person.
I mean, that...
Sometimes he would spit on their window, and then they would try to, like, windshield wipe it, and it would just smear, because it was like this big, nasty loogie.
God,
like,
that's just so gross.
Terrible. One time he threw a whole Coke bottle at someone, full Coke bottle. He just didn't care.
But things are different now.
Things are different now. My dad also carried like 2 or 3 pistols at all times.
Right.
So he just didn't give a fuck.
And, I mean...
But I would never do that.
I mean, that's a good
That
one.
was a menace.
Hack one and just spit it on their window.
Just in their window.
Mm.
Could you imagine getting spit on?
Like, I don't even know what I would just sit there and be like, what?
The fuck? Yeah. If you were a victim of my dad's loogies, please call.
They're like, oh, we remember this now.
Yeah.
You're from New York,
Yeah.
and this guy used to spit in our car all the
Yeah,
time.
this guy.
But there's so many jobs. Like, I'm trying to think of a job that every day a person has to act different. And the one thing that comes to my mind is maybe a psychologist.
Like any sort of therapist or counselor, probably. Yeah, they have to like put all their own shit aside.
Right. Like they have to come and put on a show every
They could get in the
day.
worst fight with their spouse or be, going through a death or anything, and they have to like still do it. Yeah.
Because a lot of jobs you can kind of hide in. People be like, hey, what's wrong with you? You're different today. But a therapist or psychologist, like if they get in a fight with their spouse that morning, or if their kid's acting a fool, like they still got to come and sit there and be like, okay, let's talk about your problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that is crazy to be able to, or maybe they'll be like, okay, what the fuck's going with you today?
I want a therapist like that.
My day was shit.
I want a therapist like that.
Like not somebody fake.
Yeah.
I
You know
want
who
to be
doesn't?
one.
You know who doesn't have to put on a face at their job?
Who?
The guy holding the stop sign at a construction site.
Oh man, what a job that is. And I'll tell you the difference in that job. Back in the day, they weren't standing there holding their phone texting too. Now I see them like it's just become the norm. Like Bobby that's holding the stop and go sign is just sitting there. He's looking up the ESPN scores. What happened?
Could you imagine going around telling people you work construction and that's the shit you do?
What do you do for a living?
I'm a construction. Oh yeah, what do you do? I work the stop sign.
And it's such a process too. Hey, I'm getting ready to turn mine to stop.
Yeah. Are you still? Which way are you? How many you got?
That sometimes construction road work, and I'm sorry if you do it, and please comment of why this happens. But more than likely, 80% of the time when I drive by, nobody's doing anything.
Nobody's doing it.
How does stuff get done? Like
When you're asleep, the gnomes do it.
there's like so many people on the side of the road, and I see one guy in a bulldozer, and the rest are just like chilling.
Yeah. There's 20 guys watching the hole. 3 guys on the stop signs. 2 guys sitting in the back of a truck.
That's called state money.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
Yeah.
it may only take 3 of us to do it, but we're going to send a crew of 20 out, and only 3 are going to need to do it.
Exactly.
Building bridges, that's
Do you know that in West Virginia, like, some absurd amount of bridges and dams are like past the point of safe? Like they're deemed not only unsafe but dangerous. There's like levels to it. I think it's like level 1, 2, and 3 or something.
so like they reached their time, like they've been.
They're beyond.
Oh.
They're beyond their time, and they're at a point of like critical failure. Dams and bridges in West Virginia, it's like a really high number.
oh, I never thought about that. Like when they put them up, and it's the same with anything else. Like you need a new roof after so long. You need new tires after so long.
I'm gonna look it up. It's a really high, it's a scary high number. Dams unsafe number. Yeah. The report says West Virginia has 419 high hazard dams. So
solid number for one state.
Yeah. Yeah, it's insane.
Well, when you think about different things like West Virginia and Maryland share the same bridge. And
Whose bridge is it?
yeah, like I still don't know whose bridge is it. Half of it West Virginia's, and then that turns into Maryland.
Probably wherever the line is, right?
Because I believe when you pass on the bridge, that's when the sign says "Welcome to West Virginia." Why would it not just sit on the bridge and have a sign in there that says "Welcome to West Virginia"?
Maybe it's inconvenient to put a sign on the bridge.
It's not about inconvenience. It's about I want to know when I go into another state.
I need to know exactly where the line is.
Not 20 feet up.
And I want a welcome sign immediately.
But you would think that
I don't feel welcome.
if two states are sharing a bridge, that bridge should never be like it should be the best bridge ever, because they both are sharing money from two states.
Unless it's just shared. What did they say about shared responsibilities? Basically, nobody does it if there's a share. If you and someone else are both responsible for the same work, you might just both think that the other person's going to do it.
The same person's never going to put. They're never going to put the same amount of effort into it when it's shared.
Bro, I tell you, I'm going back to college. I'm doing some classes. I had the worst class I've ever had. It's online, and so it adds a level of generally online classes are easier, but the way that this guy had set up his class, it added a level of complexity that was obnoxious. I'll spare you the details, but basically there was 2 group assignments. And getting to what we were just talking about, in both times I had 5 group mates and none of them did any of the work. And like you can't like I couldn't message them or tell them like, yo, you gonna fucking do it? I couldn't nudge them in class like, are you gonna do your shit, bro?
So you had this group, everybody was responsible for one thing.
Yeah, so it was like one of them was a paper and the other one was a slide deck. In the paper, it was stupid too. The professor wrote it so that all of us would write certain sections of the paper. But like, how are you gonna write a cohesive paper when you write the first paragraph, I write the 4th paragraph, some asshole writes the 3rd paragraph, and like nobody's talking to each other.
Oh yeah, because you would almost have to say, okay, you write this paragraph, then we're going to give it to Sean, and Sean's going to write the second, then we're going to get.
That's how it should be, right? Like week 1, you do your part. Week 2, you read everything he did and add to it, and so on and so forth.
How did yours work?
It was just everybody yours is due on the same date. Everyone's got the same due date. Finish the paper, and so I read what was in there. 3 of the classmates did nothing. 2 of them did it. One of the other guys like did fine. The other guy, like his shit didn't even make sense, and he put his name in it, and then like it was it was garbage. Oh, and they're all in different fonts. It was all just garbage. I just deleted the whole paper and rewrote it.
So you just rewrote it yourself?
I just rewrote the whole paper. I did all the sections and turned it in.
Did they see that at the end?
I don't fucking know. I got an A. I don't know. I don't know what they got.
All of you got an A.
We all got an A. Yeah.
I mean, that's the way. Yeah. When I did my master's online, it was the same thing, but we had to like communicate. Like it was so weird. Like you had to get each other's numbers, you had to call each other.
Nobody
you had
had
to
each
meet
other's shit.
online. Oh, that's
There was
crazy.
a private message thing in there, but nobody responded or read the messages.
Right.
This same teacher, most of the assignments are due for every class I've taken so far. The assignments are due at 11:59 the night of the due date, right? So you have all the way the whole day till the end of the very last minute of the day to turn in the work, right? Pretty standard. He was doing that, and then suddenly, here and there'd be assignments due at 12:01 a.m. So I would look at the due date and be like, oh, it's due tomorrow. Yeah, it was due tomorrow at 12:01, the first minute of the day. So I would wake up the next day to go do it, and it would already be done and closed. I'd be like, y'all, fuck, right? So I missed, and that's my fault. I should have looked at the time.
Because it was 11:59 the night before.
They're all 11:59. So 11:59 that day would have meant I had all night to do it.
Right.
But because it was 12:01, it was already done by the moment I woke up, right? So I missed a couple, and then he had some assignments where the instructions expired before the date of the assignment was due. So I go to do the fucking assignment, and the instructions are expired. I can't read the instructions. Right? So there's all this, the same one, the group work, all this stuff. I sent a mass email to everybody. My counselor, whatever they're called in college, to the teacher, to all the students. I sent a mass message through the system, and I was like, this is bullshit. I fucking hate this. Like, you got the due dates, I just complained to fuck. And my wife was like, why'd you do that? You can't do that. And I was like, fuck him. I don't give a shit. And he gave me credit for all the shit, and opened up all the due dates again, and let me redo everything I missed.
I've never heard of that. That's insane. That the instructions would delete before the assignment.
It was like a fucking James Bond shit. Like, you know,
There's cipher.
Yeah.
You have to cipher the code after that.
Oh yeah, dude, it was ridiculous. Fucking hate it.
If they give it to you, the assignment a week and a half, when were you doing the assignment?
That night it was due.
Yeah.
But sometimes the night before. But because all the assignments would take me 15 minutes.
Right.
And in fact, when I complained, his response was, well, it should take you longer than one day to do these assignments, so you shouldn't be waiting to the last moment anyway. And I was like, do you even read your own assignments, bro? Like, half of the shit you asked me to do is like, it takes seconds, minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the paper and the group work was longer, and that stuff I did spend more time on, but almost everything else was just like hilariously short.
And do they even read it? That's why I just
Fuck.
wondered when I was in.
Fuck.
You got 30 people in your class,
You know,
and you're telling people to write a 5-page paper. You're going to go through and read what? 5 times 30, 150 pages of work. You're just looking at it to say,
Fuck no.
oh man, there's 5 pages worth of writing there. Boom. Hey.
Did I tell you about the one, the hacking one they had to do?
Mm.
I took a security class, which I already know how to do, but I just took it because it was easy credit. And like, the instructor was asking people to, he asked us to do some things that actually are illegal. And in one of those assignments, he was like, telling people to run a penetration test on a random website. And you can't do that. It's against the law. Like, unless you have,
What's the penetration test?
what do you think it is?
That's why I was like,
a pen test is like,
you're trying to get in there.
Yeah. So you run these tools that scan the site and tell you if there's vulnerabilities, if there's like a known exploit in the code, or like, there's a way to get in, basically, a way to break in. It's like canvassing a house to see if the doors are unlocked, right?
Oh.
But you can't just do that without permission. I mean, I could do it on my own website, or if you told me I could do it on your website or something, that's fine.
Wait, so I'm not allowed to go to like any house and just see if the doors
Wiggle the
are locked
doors.
or not?
Yeah, West Virginia just gets shot.
So that's what you all were doing, wiggling doors.
Basically. And so I just turned in a paper that said, what you're asking me to do is against the law, so I'm not going to do it. And he gave me an A. And then another assignment, he was like, I want you to use social media to stalk. He literally used the word stalk someone. Pick a random person, stalk them, and tell me everything you know about them.
What?
Yeah. And so I chose him. So I found like his Instagram, I found his old email accounts, I found his address, like I found everything. I wrote up a paper, it was all about him, and it was like 2 pages of me doxing my professor. And the only thing he commented was that I got his middle name wrong. So like his middle name was, I think it was Benjamin or something. And I wrote like Ben or something like that. And
Right.
He was like, my middle name's actually But I had everything else right, I'm pretty sure, because he didn't say shit about it. I got an A on that one, too.
That is crazy.
Like, I told him his cat's name, one of them died, and what one it died, and like...
This was an assignment just to stalk somebody.
It was weird that he assigned us that, yeah. Also, I didn't feel comfortable just, like, picking a random person.
Yeah.
It's weird, right? I mean, he said do someone from your life, but he said don't tell them.
Oh.
Like, that's weird.
I mean, you could have did me. And then we could have sat in here. You could have been like, tell me some weird shit about me. And I'd be like, what? How'd you know that?
I got all that, bro. Here, let me do it right now. Yeah, but it was weird. It was weird.
What do you think, since you're just getting into like the whole college thing with classes and stuff, what's your take on college?
You know, I'm only doing it because originally we wanted to move to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, and part of Canada is one of their programs that we could use to get a visa or permanent residence there. They give extra points for people who have a college degree. So that was literally the only reason I was going to do it. And Shepherd has a program where you could basically pay to get your work experience counted as a degree.
Agree.
So I'm submitting my portfolio right now saying, like, here's everything I've ever done at Site Hub. I've done payroll, I've done my taxes, I've done all these things that you do in business and business law and marketing, principles of marketing, and I like map all my experience to courses, and they're gonna give me credit for it. But I would never go through and pay, one, any large sum of money to get a degree, or two, spend a lot of effort or time doing it, because to me personally, there's no value. I'm not going to get a better job. I'm not going to get a promotion.
College is an investment, and for you and what you do, there's no return.
There's absolutely no return.
And that's the...
That was it. There's just the ability to go to this better, potentially better, get a better leg up on this program to immigrate into Canada. That was it.
Yeah.
Your middle name is Lee?
It is Lee.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
My mom's middle name is Lee.
Is
It's
it?
more of a man's name, but
My wife's middle name was Lee.
really.
It's spelled different.
Sweet Thug?
Oh, well, how'd you know that? That was
You sweet thug.
that was my AIM messenger.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I got some stuff on here. Got some stuff.
Can you look at criminal records?
Yeah.
I don't have any criminal records, but I was just wondering.
Yeah, should I press it?
Can you see like speeding tickets, things like that?
Only if they're digitized. Not all crimes, not all counties, states digitize.
Oh, like put them into a
provide.
computer, they could just be paper.
It could be paper, or they don't make them publicly available. Some areas, like Florida, for example, all their stuff's publicly available. You could search anybody who's committed any crime in Florida, and it's there.
Right.
But
Some places you can pay, right?
some places you could pay. Most places you could file like a Freedom of Information or a FOIA or a FOIL and get that information on anybody.
Well, I thought there's some places too you could pay not to have your mugshot put up.
That might be true. I didn't find much on you, Josh.
I don't have much on me, I don't think. I don't do much.
I found some social media and some emails. So,
Pretty normal person.
pretty normal. Did you know Joshua is Hebrew?
Yes. That's why my parents named me Joshua.
Meaning,
What is Sean?
I don't know.
Italian?
Definitely not that. It's like Irish or some shit, Gaelic.
Yeah, these days, I mean, it's funny how times has changed because, I mean, college used to be pushed so much. Like, if you didn't go to college and this and that. And then now I don't feel like it's pushed as much. I feel it's more like partying, we'll let you pass as long as you pay us money.
It is a scam.
And it is a scam because I believe everything, 80% of the stuff can be learned through doing it.
And what you learn in school, generally, at least in technology, maybe not in social work or stuff that's more less changing, business and economics maybe. There's certain things that don't change as fast or as frequently.
Right.
Like the principles stay true, but in technology, marketing,
Yeah, technology is just forever
There's
changing.
no point in going to the school because whatever you've learned is outdated.
Right.
And likely your teacher's already 2 or 3 generations outdated beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
So like when I started going to school for programming, like computer science, I realized that we were learning shit that has been antiquated for like 20 years that literally nobody uses. It's unusable. And my teacher sucked at teaching it. I was like, what the fuck am I doing here?
So they can't like when it comes to like IT and things like that, technology, they can't update the programs fast enough to. You're always learning things from a little behind.
Yeah, and I've been involved in like online certification stuff through work. Like, so I've helped some companies who do online IT certification programs. Right, they've set up an online school basically, and even that stuff, the curriculum that they source, it's not from today. It takes a while to build curriculum and quizzes and tests, and to explain things in a way people can understand, and then find teachers who will teach it or record it. Like at best, you're 6 months to a year behind, and that's not terrible in some realms like coding. Like 6 months to a year, not much is changing.
Right.
But like in cybersecurity or marketing or anything like that,
Cybersecurity is crazy. I mean, that's forever changing, daily changing how people are hacking
all the
in.
time. Yeah, so you just have to be a practitioner, I think, for those things. You just have to literally do it so much that you and be obsessed with it so that you stay on top of it.
I mean, it's a fun job though. Like I would love like a job where I'm like a nanny and I'm like going in and making sure like what's popping up, and then go into that person's life and to see like, or if a threat pops up or the wrong words pop up, to look into that person. Like that would be a fun job. Do you think that would
It could
fun?
be. Yeah, I mean, I thought I wanted to be in cybersecurity, but the job that I ended up getting was not fun.
Right.
The job I ended up getting was you sit down at a laptop, press start on a software, wait for it to go, and then press print and hand that paper to the person who paid you to do that. and that was fun the first time, reading through the report and go, oh, look at all the shit that they got to do. But then it was just sucked. And what really was terrible is I was working for hospitals. I worked for a company that was hired by hospitals, small hospitals, but hospitals nonetheless, to do their security testing. And there were several clients within the year and a half that I worked there that we went back to multiple times and reran the reports because they were mandated to do security audits.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the same shit that was wrong before, wrong again, that they just didn't fix. Because they weren't mandated to fix it. They were mandated to do the scan and have a plan to fix it.
But they didn't have to fix it?
But they were not mandated to fix it.
What the hell?
So we just gave them scan after scan. They paid us 20 grand after 20 grand to do the same shit, for them not to do anything about it. And it was just dumb.
I mean,
shitty.
I know my shit's out there. Like people probably have anything they
Yeah,
want.
but you're not a hospital.
That's true. But what at a hospital, like I don't care. If I go in a house, my thing is I don't care what anybody knows about me.
You know, I used to have the attitude, I still do personally, that I don't give a fuck about my own security because it is what it is. And my bank will refund me if someone steals my
Right.
credit card.
That's the way I look at it.
You know, if there's a mortgage put out in my name, I'll get it fixed, like, whatever. But I think the problem with that is that they're just because that you don't have anything to hide doesn't mean that there isn't value in the ability to be private if you wanted to. And if you couldn't be private, even if you wanted to, that's a problem, I think. Like if you wanted, suddenly, let's say for some reason you wanted to be a private man and not
Like I wanted to go off the grid.
you wanted to hide.
Mm-hmm.
Not because you had something to hide, but just because you wanted to shut it down, whatever.
Right.
And you couldn't, that'd be a problem.
Do you think with technology, like crime, it could increase crimes in a different way? Like the more technology we're putting in vehicles, like what stops somebody from hacking a vehicle and running them off the road or something like that?
The cool part, I think, is a lot of these companies, a lot of software companies or technology companies have really embraced the hacker community, and a lot of hackers, probably more so than there are bad, are good, and they like tinkering, finding stuff, and if you are willing to pay them, they will gladly tell you how they did it so you could fix it. So for example, there's a conference every year in Vegas. I've been to it once called DEF CON. You ever heard of DEF CON? It's really fun. We should go sometime.
Yeah, I'll go just for the Vegas experience.
It's really fun.
I haven't been there in a while.
You meet all these nerds, and there's hacking workshops. People just go, like Tesla had a spot there one year, and they bring in a couple of cars, and they allow you to try to hack it. Anybody can walk in from the conference. There's like 20,000 people that go to these conferences. You just walk in the room and try to hack a Tesla, and if you do it, they pay you money.
Wow.
And then they fix it. So I mean, they're called bug bounties. Bug bounty programs are big.
That's pretty sweet.
And there's a lot of them out there. Like Adobe or any big technology company has a bug bounty program, and they'll tell you exactly how much they'll pay depending on the severity of the bug. So like if you find a bug with Windows software that allows you to remotely execute code on someone else's computer, they have a fixed fee that they'll pay you.
Wow.
They'll be like, we'll give you 10 grand for that.
Coding is so, when you're outside world like me that doesn't, like, I just get onto Google and do stuff I need to at work. But coding is crazy when I actually, like, if I YouTube it or something, like it's like a robotic slang. That's how it is. Like,
It's weird.
can you code?
A little bit, yeah. Some languages. I was more more of a coder before I really started like hiring people. When I started hiring people for my business, I didn't have to code anymore because I found people who were better coders than me. But
Right.
you know, I could always hack something together. Like when I was coding, I would use a lot of other people's code on the internet, and like, you know, there's a website called Stack Overflow where you can go and ask questions. It's like Quora, like a Q&A place. So you could say, this is happening, help me, and some random nerd and, you know, somewhere will help you out. So like I could put some shit together. But.
So is coding like art? Like, the more you do it, the better you're gonna get. Like some of these people are just coding 10 hours a day because they love doing it and they love like what they're getting from it. Like the more you practice like art, like art's kind of like a natural ability where you start practicing. Is coding like that, or can you just go into coding, not have a clue, and just a couple of years down the road, the more you put into it, you could be a great coder?
It's really hard to start because you don't know where to start. Like you don't know. Unlike, you know, like if I wanted to try to paint, I knew I needed a paintbrush. I need some paint, so I need a canvas.
Right.
And I could dip the paintbrush in the paint and put something on the canvas, and it's not going to look good, but it's something.
Mm-hmm.
With coding, so a lot of people, it's like, where's my paintbrush? What's the canvas? I don't know, right? So that there's a bit of a barrier to start, but once you get beyond that, it is very much like art. It's linear, and as you learn, or as you practice, you learn more and you get better at it for sure. But also, it's more like art because you're trying to solve a problem whenever you're coding. You're trying to get somewhere. You're trying for an outcome, and there's a million ways to do it. It's not just one way to solve that problem. Like if I want to make a tool that outputs, here's a real one I did in school when I was 19. We had to make a BMI calculator. You know, like put in your height, put in your weight, and it tells you if you're a healthy BMI. And you know, there's 30 people in the class. Everyone had a different way of doing it. Everyone's project looked different. There's no fixed way to solve the problem. So it's like art in that you get to use a creative part of your brain to figure out how you want to solve the problem. The challenge is first to do that. To get to that point, you have to know literally the language. You have to know how the coding works and like the syntax and how to structure a sentence. It's like an essay. You can't write an essay unless you know English.
Right.
But once you know English, you and I are not going to have the same essay.
That makes sense though, because if you sit in art class and you tell everybody, here, draw a picture of a tree with this in the background, everybody's going to have something different in the background. Their tree's going to look different. Their colors are going to be different.
Exactly. So it is very creative. And so it's great. And I think it's fun to learn. I think everybody should. And you don't have to be a super nerd. You don't have to be a genius. That's all a myth.
It's personalities though, too. That's where I come back to personalities.
Dude, there was a
for
bunch of
different
jocks
jobs.
in my coding class.
Oh, really?
When I was in community college back in Rochester, yeah. There was I met this dude who like didn't have a car. He only had a motorcycle, and he was like a leather wearing motorcycle dude all the time. And he was in my coding class.
He was a coder.
There was like a guy who was on the soccer team, and he was like the Rochester Rhinos soccer team, which was like our minor league.
Rhinos.
Yeah, they're not a thing anymore.
That's a fun animal to have as your ascot, rhino. Rhinos are pretty badass.
They are. They're slow though.
They are, but they're big and tough.
They're big, like tanks. But yeah.
Well, that's the perception that puts out, like movies, everything.
It's
always the jocks getting the nerds to do the coding.
Yeah.
It's weird. That's the way it is.
And it doesn't have to be that way. I mean, but yeah, that is the thing. That's the stereotype. It's also like, the hacker who sits there with a hoodie in a dark room with a black screen and green letters.
I mean, there's times I wish people called me a nerd. Like, I wish I was smart enough to be called a nerd.
You are a nerd about a lot of things.
Yeah, I guess.
You're a nerd about like shoes and collectibles and things like that.
Yeah, it's just weird how nerds always come back to like specifics. Like a nerd makes video games or something like that.
Yeah.
Not a nerd knows about Mike Jordan shoes. I mean, I would love to be like. I feel like
sneaker
nerd. Nerd is just a definition of somebody being really smart in a certain area.
Yeah, like borderline obsessed about a certain thing, right? Like.
Right.
Yeah.
There's nerds that get on Pornhub.
Yeah,
Pornhub nerds.
Porn nerd. Oh my god. You have to edit that one out?
I like that one.
I'm a porn nerd.
I'm a Pornhub nerd. Yeah. I try to be. It's so weird. And that's where it comes back to personalities. I hate going out in public. I don't know what it is. I hate looking around, seeing people around me. But when I go to work, I'm a happy, pretty good, go-lucky guy at work. I don't mind people
there,
around.
Right?
Yeah, and it's like spread out, and it's like, I don't know. I try to go in with the best attitude I can.
Is it because maybe you are so familiar with what to expect in that environment? Like
that might be
it's predictable.
Just because it's predictable, and I do the same thing. I walk in this building the same way. I go to my office the same way.
The times are static.
Yes.
Right.
Compared to going out to like
you go to Walmart, there's fucking
Walmart and
chaos.
Target. I can't take it. Like
chaos.
It's 15 to 20 minutes. I can be in there, and then I just start. It's the people around me. I just can't take looking at the different people.
What would happen if you stayed in Walmart too long?
I don't know. Probably a panic attack.
Yeah.
I don't know. For one, my eyes get like crazy.
Because the lights?
Because the lights. And then we just went in to Target a couple weeks ago. And I hit my mark. And it's all plays in my head. It's like, God, this person's getting something off the shelf. This person's coming by me with a cart. And I tell my wife, I'm like, how much longer are we going to be in here?
You're like, I gotta go. I gotta go.
Do you feel better? Take the cart. And I would like lean on the cart. Like it just too much just starts to happen.
Yeah.
I guess that's part of me being on the spectrum, as she says. Like,
yeah.
Wait, calm down. We're just in Target shopping.
Everything's fine. Yeah. I think that anxiety comes from like a security and fear, safety thing. At least it did with my dad, and I sometimes feel that way. Like I'm always looking at other people to kind of measure up what they're doing and make sure that I'm not in danger.
Right.
Like is this person trying to fucking pull a gun? Is this person doing something weird? Does this person look sketchy? So like being on a swivel too much, it does make you high anxiety.
We're builders. Like we build ourselves. I feel like we continuously build our personalities. Like I built myself to act like that in public.
That's true.
Like
you probably weren't like that as a little kid. At some point you weren't.
I look back and the things I used to do, I can't do as much. Like I used to go out to the bar, get sloppy, people run into each other. And now if I go to a bar and I want to have a couple drinks and somebody runs into me, it fucking pisses me off.
Night ruined.
Yes. Like, but back when I'm in college and I'm drinking.
Yeah, everyone's bumping in.
Yeah, it's just what happens at a bar. You walk through, drunk people were falling into each other.
Do you remember going to like house parties where like you could barely walk in the front door and shit?
Let me tell you, this is a great story. So one time when I went to Shepherd, I knew a guy. I worked at a gym, and he was in the military, and we became friends. He was a Marine, and he was back
Marines
home.
can drink.
Yeah. So, he tells me, he's like, "Hey man, I have a gig for us." This is after I graduated Shepherd. He's like, "There's a house party down at Shepherd, and they need a couple people to play as bouncers." And he's like, "We're getting like $100, $150 a piece. We take money at the door.
Okay.
One of us gives cups and blah blah blah." So I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in college. I think I'm a badass anyway." He's like, "Sure."
Get a few free beers, hang out.
So we go down, and it's a house, and I've never been there before. And we did our thing. We took money for a while. Then at the end, they're like, "Hey, that's it. We've made plenty. Like, you all go enjoy the night too, but you're still our bouncers in case anything happens." And I would say there was 5 of us, and none of us were in college at that point. So we walked down to the basement. This is where the party's happening. Now, there's only one way in and there's only one way out. That's to walk down. It's no outside door.
Yeah. Dangerous as fuck if there was anything to happen.
So we walk down, it's dark, there's a DJ. I mean, it's a badass basement.
Yeah.
It's concrete floor. They got paint like written with their fraternity and stuff on the walls that the glue in the dark.
Glue in the dark.
They glue in the dark.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, this is crazy. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, the soccer team was there.
Yeah.
The next thing we know, the football team shows up.
Oh yeah.
And
The whole team.
it was a good portion.
It's like 50 people come to the party.
And they come walking down the steps. And I think the first one that comes down goes over and just rocks one of the soccer players
Oh my
across
God.
the face, knocks him out. And I guess there was some beef. And I'm telling you what, hell unleashed in that basement.
Oh my god.
And at one point, I'm looking around, and there's a guy knocked out over here. There's a fight over here. They're flipping chairs over here. And
Like a full-on brawl.
the guys that hired us for their thing, they're like, "Oh man, can y'all do something?" My buddy that's a Marine came up. He said, "Fuck no."
See ya.
He's like, "This is it's got to a point." And I'm just like, "Don't hit me. I'm not on soccer or football. I was
Yeah.
just here." But yeah, it was a bloody disaster when we left. There was cops that showed up. There was fire trucks. There was a couple of ambulances.
Did you book it without getting in trouble?
No, well, I wasn't worried about it because I wasn't like drunk or anything, and I just
It
left.
wasn't your house yet.
Yeah, we did not get paid.
You didn't get paid?
No, everything happened, so we didn't get paid at the end of the night. But
I guess you didn't. Yeah.
we didn't do a very good
Didn't
job.
do your job as a bouncer, I guess.
But I mean, can you
You
imagine?
stood there for hours, though.
That's true.
Should've
But
got paid.
at the same
Those
time, can you
bastards.
imagine? Like, you got a football team against a soccer team.
Fuck
that
that.
went one way.
With 5 guys too, like
Yeah.
sponsors. Like, what are you guys gonna do? A whole fucking football team?
And there was just no way out. Like, people were just stuck down there. Like, a couple was
defensive
running.
lineman at the basement steps, right?
Like, I remember one saying, like, "What the fuck are you gonna do?" And I'm like, "Nothing.
Fucking nothing.
I don't
yeah.
care what you all do. I'm not
Yeah.
part of this anymore."
Cheers.
Like, there's a point where you could think, even in college, like, I lifted everything, and
But
I
you're
was
not
like,
taking 5 football players
"No,
down.
that's not just gonna happen."
No. Yeah.
It's the same. When I used to go down Shepherd, they had a place called Tony's. Have you
Yeah.
ever been to Tony's?
No.
So Tony's was the hot spot down there. And Tony's would have the football players like taking the money out the door and everything. But the football players would be the ones who started all the shit down there. And that's why they end up having to close Tony's, because there were so many fights. But like, you got these 6'5", 300-pound guys at the door and everything, and then the guys that are in the fights and starting the fights are their friends that are 6'5".
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
I mean, there's people that went through windows down there, and
Oh my
eventually,
God.
that was the only thing to do in Shepherdstown was Tony's. It was a pizza place on the top, and in the bottom was the nightclub with a bar and an outdoor spot you could go. And they just
That
could
sounds
not
nice.
keep the riffraff out.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, as a school representing, I would not want my football team any way involved in that, not being the bouncers and things like that, because if something happens there,
Yeah,
the football team is going to take up with the football team.
yeah. I was gonna say, the coaches should be telling their kids like, hey, don't be getting in fucking fights.
Exactly.
But,
Like, that go work at Sheets up the street
yeah,
and not be involved in that.
yeah.
But then again, why is the soccer team pissing off the football team?
Yeah, that was a
That's
mistake
a
on the
bad
soccer
idea.
team. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
The biggest soccer player is like 180 pounds. Biggest football player is like 350.
And then I thought this guy that was Marine, he was a pretty cool guy, good looking guy, man. Like he looked like a Marine.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought like he was a decent person. And then I stopped hanging out with him for a little while. And the next thing I know, he knocked out a female bartender at a bar. So he had some
jeez.
like anger stuff on his side too.
Oh boy.
But yeah, I don't know how we got on that. What else?
I was talking about house parties, about being in a crowded space, and like I remember some house parties where you couldn't walk in the front door without being shoulder to shoulder with other people,
And
just sweating on everybody. 200 people in a regular house, not even one of those like fraternity mansions.
right,
it just jammed, like the point where the floor is wobbling. Like
we see these decks cave at these like fraternity houses and things like that. It's just not meant for that.
I've been at those places and it didn't bother me, but now I'm like, yeah, if somebody bumps into me somewhere, I'm pissed. I remember we went to Disney with my dad and he got bumped into, and it's like it's Disney, but my dad was pissed.
Disney's a great place to be bumped into.
I mean, how do you avoid it? Yeah, you're just 20,000 people there.
When it goes along with that, being bumped into, and another thing that pisses me off is when you're walking down a sidewalk or you're walking in a direction everybody is, and there's a group of 2 or 3 standing in the middle just conversating, and it's blocking traffic up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've given nudges to people, like, hey, I want you to know, like, you made me mad.
You're a rhino.
Here's a little nudge for you.
There's a little rhino nudge.
But I definitely, it's weird. Some things I could take and some things I can't. Like if you told me to go down to DC right now, the metro, I don't know what it is. I could sit on the metro when it gets crowded. I'm fine. But when I
some areas, if I know to expect it ahead of time. But
how do you feel about movie theaters now?
I don't really go too often. But I try to sit away from people, and I don't like when people sit next to me. If it's a big open, every theater that I've been to recently, there's more than enough chairs.
Right.
I've not been to a packed theater for 15 years.
I don't know if there is packed theaters anymore.
Yeah.
Just wait for the movie to come out a month later.
So, I mean, when I go, it'll be like, I got this whole row, or I got half this row to myself, right? And then some assholes sit right in front of me, or right behind me, or right next to me. I'm like, why?
That's sporting events when you have to use the bathroom, and it's like 20 urinals, and every urinal has 6 people at it, lined up left, right. I can't take that either.
Yeah, what do you do if there's 3 urinals and the middle one is the only one that's empty?
I mean, I go to it.
You go?
Yeah.
I don't go.
You don't?
No, I got a small wee-wee.
Well, I mean, small wee-wees are okay.
Nah, I feel like it's too close to other people's
stuff.
If there's, I'll go if there's the barriers. If it's just urinals, no barriers, I'm not going to the middle one.
I mean, I've literally went, and urinals have been so close, and I'm like standing there holding my wee-wee trying to pee, and the person next to me hits me, and it's like knocking my pee off.
Oh, no.
That's how close when you're rubbing shoulders, like during the winter time when it's really cold.
Everyone's got jackets
on, you're rubbing each other while you're peeing. Like what?
You're going to different bathrooms than me, bro.
I mean, rubbing shoulders, not rubbing each other.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing that, I mean, we've talked about this before, but that's another thing that women don't have to deal with is like every bathroom has a stall.
Yeah.
And you're standing there.
We're sitting there like pigs.
We're sitting there just
At
whipping
the
it
trough.
out, and everybody's trying to sneak a peek.
Like, is it really small?
There was that commercial where the guy's like peeing and he's little, and then the next big guy comes in and he looks over and he laughs, but then another ginormous guy comes in
and he
laughs at him, and the little guy's laughing at the guy in the middle. Man, we are barbaric when it comes to like bathroom use.
Barbaric.
Oh my gosh, this just came in my mind.
What?
I just thought of this. So we talked about it was like 2 episodes, we talked about peeing in troughs.
Yeah, at sporting events.
And then we talked about how if you're out and you're golfing,
Pee outside.
if you pee outside, like somebody could call
Someone
you.
sees
Could,
you in decent exposure.
when you're peeing in those troughs and there's kids at events, what is the
It's
difference?
indecent exposure. I'm gonna sue you.
Like a little kid comes up next to you and you're standing there with your wee wee out.
Yeah.
What is the difference than going out and you gotta pee, and if a kid actually walks by, you don't mean to. Like, I never thought about that.
You know what? We should send my son into bathrooms and then sue everyone in the bathroom for indecent exposure to my
Right.
son.
We just need to find trough
He's a
bathrooms.
jackpot.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's very.
Yeah, man. I think it's probably the reasonable expectation that you're gonna see a wee wee. Right?
Right.
You go to the bathroom, it's reasonable to expect you're gonna see a penis. But if you go golfing, you may not expect it.
Like you're coming out of your own house and you're like,
Right. But if I owned a golf course, I would put up a sign, you may see wee-wees here. Then it's reasonable expectation.
I mean, you hear about things, what was it, a couple of years ago, like a girls softball or girls basketball team was going down the road and a guy like whips out his wiener and he's like showing
Oh,
it.
God.
And like stories like that happen. What's wrong with people like
People
that?
are weird.
They're very weird.
Yeah, I mean, there's like creeps who like to pull it out and show it in public or do stuff. It's weird.
It is.
Yeah.
That's where personality's coming again.
You know, everyone's got like a thing, but there's ones that go too far. Like, okay, so like, you know, maybe you like feet. Yeah, I don't like feet, but you might like feet, fine. But you know, then you like showing your dick in public. It's like
That's pushing the limit.
It's pushing the limit. Yeah.
Like there's
Yeah.
something not clicking in your brain either that
Mm-hmm.
gets you so, or I guess
Yeah.
your blood going and everything that you're like, oh my god, bus, wiener out. Like there's something in those
Something
people's
happened.
minds.
Yeah, that's what I was saying the last time we were talking about it. Like, you know, pedophiles should go to jail. Absolutely. People who whip their dick out in front of a school bus full of children should go to jail. Absolutely. But like, jail ain't gonna fix that guy's brain.
No.
When you let him out, eventually he's still gonna see a bus and get a boner.
Yep, that's true. I mean, you're punishing for the act he did then, and you're just hoping that cures him, but it's
Yeah.
not. It's all in the brain.
You know what? It's because I realized I don't believe in free will. So the whole idea of free will is that we're all capable of just doing whatever we want to do. We get to choose what we want to do, and we have full control of our own anatomy, a body, whatever. We can choose to do whatever, right?
Right.
Like if I choose to, I could run outside naked right now. But I would argue that our brains, our bodies, everything are just a bunch of chemical reactions and cells, and there is no greater thing or structure. I don't believe in the soul the same way that you might or other people. So in that sense, then, I'm not deciding anything. My cells, the chemical reactions, everything decided that that was what was going to happen. That was what was already going to happen.
Right.
I didn't choose for it to happen. So free will doesn't exist in my brain.
I mean, we're definitely controlled hugely. Like, I mean, our people tell us like what is appropriate in different areas to do with our body and what
Oh, sure.
what's
What's okay
is
and
like
what's not okay.
right. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
is it bad if people just like ran around naked when they wanted to? I mean,
I have a couple buddies who are straight up like nudists. I've not seen them naked. They wear clothes normally. But they really believe in nudity as a non-sexual thing.
right.
And, you know, actively seek out nudist experiences where they can just be around other people in the nude. And not for sexual pleasure. And it took a while to even consider that that's a thing because it's so foreign. But I guess, you know, what's more weird is that we actually wear clothes for anything other than protecting us from the weather.
We've made it actually more sexually explicit by putting in all these rules.
Yeah.
Because if it's normal for people to walk around nude,
If you saw boobs every day, you wouldn't be turned on by boobs. Probably.
No, that
Eventually.
Yeah,
It would take me a long time.
it would. Yeah, I would have to train my brain not to be because we were trained.
But you know, if all your life you saw like old ladies' boobs down the street, you wouldn't look at any boob and be like, ooh, right?
So let me ask you this:
Yeah.
if over time, if people wanted to go around naked and that was normal,
Yeah.
I think your sex crimes would be way down.
Probably because the taboo of it, the excitement to see, you know, a naked body or whatever wouldn't be there.
It would just be like, oh, that's just another set of boobs or
Another hairy
small.
bush.
But, yeah,
There's another
crazy.
tiny penis.
If you took that
Yeah.
and you redid it, and your brains,
Right.
rapes would probably be down.
I'm
like,
sure a lot of stuff would be different. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's start it.
Start a nudist colony.
Yeah.
This is how cults begin.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a nudist colony by us.
Really?
Yeah, Pawpaw.
Should we do a live podcast from the nudist colony?
That's true. Maybe I need to go like
In
TikTok.
Pawpaw?
Yeah, Pawpaw.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's hilarious.
You have to look it up. We'll go up there sometime.
I don't know if I want to see a bunch of West Virginia pawpaw girls. Let's go find an LA nude colony.
Oh man, personalities. Everybody's different. It's just how the brain. I think you could try your hardest to change your brain, but your brain is, like you said, it's already made up.
I think it really is. I think whatever I'm gonna do next is already, chemically happening in my brain now. Like, it's like everything I say, the next breath I take, all that stuff's already built in.
But do you think too, though? Like, I feel like somebody like us, we can have fun, we can joke, we can be serious, we can be that, and I see some people that are just like bleh all the time.
Well, yeah, I mean, like the experiences that happen to you, the way you're raised, it does affect all that stuff. So, like, yeah, you're like if every time you smiled, I hit you in the face, you'd probably stop smiling. Yeah. So, like, the chemical reactions in your brain would be like, oh, smile equals danger, smile equals bad.
But what if you did the opposite? You were a person that never really smiled. If you don't smile, I'm going to hit you in the face every time.
Probably,
you learn to smile.
probably eventually. Yeah, probably eventually. Yeah, I mean, there's just like, there's conditioning and changes that happen, no doubt. I'm not saying that people don't, like you said it really well. Like, you're constantly building, new versions of yourself and improving or changing. I believe that. But I just don't know that you have full control over it.
Take something like Disney.
Mm-hmm.
As many Disney employees there is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very, I mean, being at Disney, you don't see a nasty, mean employee.
They really train those people.
Even when the worst of the worst circumstances occur, they're like trying to handle a bad situation with a smile on their face.
Yeah.
That's kind of scary. I feel that is very a cult work like environment where you're
it's
almost
really
like
programmed.
Robotic here because I mean, as many times I've been to Disney, I've never had a bad experience with like a Disney employee. It's always
It won't
like
happen. Yeah.
it's weird.
I have a buddy who worked at Disney, and they said even stuff like how you point. Like, imagine if you're going to give someone directions, like, oh, go over there.
Right.
Like, they told him, do not point with one finger because
That's almost a commanding type thing.
But you can do 4 or all 5. Oh, it's that way.
All 5 make me feel safe.
5.
Like that's looks.
Oh, just go down that way, make a left.
Yeah.
Or someone's like, that way, make a left.
But I know if I go to Walmart,
Oh, fuck no.
and I'm not happy, that cash register person could tell me go F off.
You ever ask an employee at Walmart where something is?
Yeah, they don't usually know.
None of them know. They don't even pretend.
That's not my section.
The last time I went, guy was working the section, and I was like, "Where's tablecloths?" He was like, "They probably, if you didn't see them, they probably just ran out." I was like, "What?"
My dad says this too. If they're in a construction company, you walk into Lowe's or you walk into Home Depot and you're like, hey, I need this size. What is that?
Yeah.
Hey, do you know where this part is for the? I'm not in that section.
Nobody knows.
No, it's like a huge store, and everybody knows a little bit about something. You just gotta hope that you find the person.
You
that
find
knows.
the magic guy.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's like,
Departmentalization. You know, I used to work at Best Buy, and they introduced a really clever position whose job it was to roam the whole store and know a little bit about everything. And when you were done with a customer, your job was to stand closer to the door and try to ask people if they could need any help pointing into a direction or whatever.
That's a great idea.
It was great. I was that person. I loved it. Get to know a little bit of everything, get to walk the whole store versus being stuck in a little department the whole day, right? Like I started there working CDs. And so like my whole job every day, when there wasn't a customer trying to ask me where a CD was, I had to go through and sort and organize the fucking CDs and stand in those lines, and I fucking hated it. Or like, you know, I worked in car audio and it was the smallest department. And so like all I had to do was stand there and wait for someone to come by all fucking day. Hated it. So walking around the whole store was great. And you get to talk to everybody, you know, all your buddies in all the departments.
Right.
They canceled that shit because people didn't like being followed around the store.
No.
Yeah. Because customers didn't want help. They didn't want fucking help. They didn't want anybody.
Oh my gosh, I always like help.
I like help.
My best thing is when I used to TV shop and I go in and I'm really trying to decide what TV I want. And I go up to the person and say, hey, do you, like, I'm looking at this, I'm looking at this. And all they do is just go up to the little thing and
The
they're
card?
like, yeah, the card. And they're like, okay, let's compare cards. Like, I could do that.
I was the best TV salesman there was, Josh.
Were you?
And I was the best.
Well, if I ever buy a TV again, I'll take you with me.
I don't know anything about it now.
Well,
The technology's all changed. But yeah, dude, I used to know everything about every fucking model that was on the wall. And
I would have loved you.
I used to tell
have,
everybody,
like,
don't use the fucking cards to sell.
Like, that's the best thing. Like, I want to hear you tell me, even if it's not true, I'm going to believe you. Rather than looking at a damn card. Well, this one's a 65 and this one's a 60. Well, no shit, John.
Yeah, thanks.
I can tell that.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Yeah.
This was 3,200. This one's 13. So that means this one's probably going to be a little better looking.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, TVs used to be really tough to buy, and I think now people are getting out of that of like clarity and everything. The price is taken everywhere. Oh, I don't care about if it looks a little different. I can get an 80-inch now for $1,000 rather than paying $10,000.
I think there was more of a disparity between good and bad back then.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like certain TVs were so motion blurry that you could barely see anything. Like you couldn't watch sports on some TVs, or some TVs were a lot brighter and more vivid than others. Or
now the technology is so good across the board.
Now pretty much all of them are better than any of those TVs that we used to buy, and they're so much cheaper, and it's not worth buying, you know, a real expensive one. I mean, you know, as the guy who used to literally sell, I mean, some of our TVs were $20,000. Like there's probably still motherfuckers paying off TVs I sold them 10 years ago.
Oh, I guarantee.
More than that. Sorry, it's been 2009. I stopped working there.
How old's your TV right now?
Bro, I have a TV from when I was 16, and I have a new one. I have 3 new TVs, but I still have my old one from when I was 16 years old. So how old am I? I'm 33. However many years that is.
16 is 32.
Okay, so it's a 17-year-old TV. I saw somebody selling the same TV. So it was. I got it for my 16th birthday when I worked at Best Buy on my employee discount.
It was flat screen?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It was thick, one of the thicker, flat, not like the big one, but it was like, you know, chunky.
Yep.
And it was called the Samsung Touch of Color. Around the rim of the border was a little bit of red. Right?
Oh, that's nice.
It was a nice, sexy TV. It was, I think it was a 46-inch, because that was big back then.
Yeah.
And it was like $1,700 on my discount.
Oh.
Yeah, and I saw some motherfuckers selling it on Facebook. It's the same TV, $5. And he wrote, I think he wrote like, he wrote stupid Samsung TV because it's not a smart TV.
Right.
It doesn't connect to the internet. Stupid Samsung TV, $5.
And that's the thing too. And then it became like, oh my gosh, you got to get a TV that's a smart TV.
Yeah.
Now they're all smart TVs.
Yeah.
But I got the same thing. I got a really nice one in my living room that's probably 5 or 6 years old, very thin.
Yeah.
And then the one in our bedroom is probably 10, 12 years old and thick as hell.
Yeah.
But still considered a flat screen.
Yeah. They're all good.
They are. It's,
Gaming monitors is more of a disparity. Because
gaming monitors?
yeah, because like your average computer monitor doesn't refresh the screen fast enough for a lot of video games.
Right.
You know, if you're playing a fast-paced game, it'll be really blurry, and then you won't have good advantage over the next guy. So, like the same screen that you use for like typing up your work is not the same screen you use.
No, is that the same process that you see? Because I go to a site when I buy TVs, it's called something ratings, and it'll bring up like gaming, sports, this, and it'll give like numbers if they're in the green and different things. And like, is that the same with gaming on regular TVs too? It's just like keeping up.
Probably a lot of that, yeah. A lot of people don't game on, like real gamers generally aren't gaming on a TV screen because they don't have the refresh rates. But you could probably find TVs now that do.
And that's changed over time. Because
Yeah.
it used to be cool to have like a big TV to game on.
I mean, when we were kids, there wasn't, you were not gaming. I mean, maybe on a computer you would use a regular monitor, but you know, we would always be gaming on the TV.
On the TV,
You know,
yeah.
the N64, the Sega, it was all on the TV.
I mean, it would be pretty sweet though now to play like a shooting game, like 007, where you have like the curved gaming thing, like where it's like it's
all around you.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Well, personalities it is. I just, that woman set the tone for me yesterday of where to go. She does suck.
I'm gonna cut you in line though if I ever see you though in public.
Well, I mean, if it's in public and it's at my daughter's event, I'm just going to let you. So
Yeah, clearly. Yeah, everyone just cut Josh.
now, if it's me at a gas station, a convenience station, nobody's with me, I'm coming home from work, and you do it, I'm already going to be like.
Have you ever
edgy
thought
for
about
the day.
pulling out the gas pump and just spraying somebody with it?
Oh, that. Yeah, if I want. If I want my mug jump on them or something, that's what I try to when I'm get in different situations. I do not want to go to fucking Joe.
Yeah, think about
that is not one place I want to go. I think I can't handle Walmart for 20 minutes. Put me in a jail cell or in a shower with
over.
20 naked men, and it's done. So I try not to do things that I can have a bad repercussion for unless it's protecting my family.
If you joined the Paw Paw nudist colony, though, you would be more prepared for jail.
That's true. Like, it might retrain my mind. That would keep building my mind if I joined a nudist colony.
I think you should bring that to your wife today.
I might. I'll be like, hey, listen, I know you're normal. I'm not so normal, so we
I'll
need
be
to
back.
get a nudist colony.
I'll be back. All right.
Another good episode, and we'll be back next week for another random topic that